Hello, everybody. You're welcome to today's live session. Today, we'll be talking about self-awareness and your intimate relationship. Please, if you're joining us, please let us know where you're watching from. Hello, everyone. So we just want to find out how many people are on there. We're live. We're live.
Yes.
Welcome to today's live session. My name is Amara.
And my name is Gospel.
And together we co-host on Relationship Builders Forum. And this is a forum where we talk about love, we talk about sex, we talk about relationship, we talk about, nudging issues as it has to do with love and marriage. Okay. So if you're joining us, it would be great to get to know who is in the room with us now. Just put it on the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Just so we can get to know our audience, because in a virtual space it's a kind of very tricky situation because if we're live in a room it's different.
Yeah, the thing is that in virtual space you don't even know who you're talking to unless they identify themselves.
Yep.
Okay. And we try to do this every Saturday, even though it's not quite consistent in terms of every Saturday, but we try.
Yes.
There are different issues around relationship, marriage that we can always talk about, and we thought it nice to actually discuss self-awareness. What is it about? How does it impact on our intimate relationship? Okay, because maybe by the time we start, we can also ask for your views. We'll try to understand what exactly is self-awareness and how can that be beneficial to our relationship. Okay?
Absolutely. So thank you so much. Pastor Peter is here. Thank you for joining in. It's great to see you. It's great for you to kind of align with what we do. CY Music all the way from Lincoln. We see you, bro. Thank you for joining in. Amazing. So today we said we're going to be talking about self-awareness and intimate relationship. Sometimes we might be wondering, why are we talking about this and how does this have an impact on relationship? Because some people might say, oh, we don't see the need. We don't see the need having this conversation. But we know that, being self-aware, because it is who you are that you bring into a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So it is very important to think about, am I actually self-aware? Because there are so many people in a relationship that are not quite they think they are self-aware, but I think they're not self-aware.
Maybe the first place to start is to actually look at what does it mean? What does self-awareness mean? I think for me, self-awareness means that you have a kind of understanding, knowledge and understanding of your internal dispositions, or about your character, about your values. You have that consciousness or knowledge about how you are as an individual, not just your character per se. You can think about your personality, your behavior, your attitude, your emotional dispositions, and all the things that have to do with who you are. In fact, it's about saying, do you know yourself? So for me, self-awareness is more about knowing yourself, knowing who you are, knowing how you feel about issues, how you feel about life, how you feel about relationship. You just know. It's not a one-off thing, it's a consistent thing. Every day you reflect, you think about, where am I on the journey of life? Who am I? Maybe it's just a question of saying, it's about knowing who you are.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that make up who you are. So are you aware? Do you know who you are?
Yeah.
So we're just saying we need to know who we are, because who we are impacts on the quality of our relationship.
Yeah.
You can't think about relationship or to bring something to someone, to share something with someone when you don't know what you're bringing to share.
I think just to add to what you're saying, it's like you said, it's about understanding who you are. It's all about you having that sort of honest conversation, identifying what your strengths are, identifying what your weaknesses are. And self-awareness is not a one-off event. Because sometimes when we talk about people being self-aware, people think that, oh, I already know who I am. I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. Self-awareness is a moment-to-moment perception of what is actually going on in your body, what is going on in your mind, what's going on in your feelings and your behavior. So it involves you recognizing, that everything is interconnected. All of these things are bound, they come from you and they're bound to affect you. They are also bound to affect the people that surround you, even in your relationship. And I want to say that it is very challenging to build a solid relationship if you are not aware of who you are.
Yeah, because who you are is what makes your relationship what it is. We've always believed that if you want to have a wonderful marriage, want to have a happy marriage, successful marriage, it starts with you.
Absolutely.
So if as a person you're not happy, sometimes people go into marriage looking for happiness.
Yeah.
People go into marriage looking for satisfaction, something in the marriage that will make them who they are. And sometimes people don't even discover themselves and they go into marriage.
That's true.
And when you don't discover yourself, where you think that within the marriage is where you will find yourself, that becomes challenging because your definition of who you are is now dependent on what people tell you or or how your partner treats you.
Yes.
So if she's not the one that makes you happy, you feel that your life is all done and dusted.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I just want to add to what you're saying that, self-discovery is a key part of self-awareness. And I think that's what you're trying to say. So it's about having that self-knowledge of your mental state, of the processes, of your disposition, and I want to say here that, the journey of self-knowledge must happen, before you align yourself with somebody. So for a lot of our single folks watching this, do not expect, and I think this is what you were saying about getting into the relationship and you are expecting to discover who you are by how someone else in the relationship is treating you.
Yeah.
You need to first of all engage in trying to understand and recognize who you are before you align with someone in an intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Because go on.
I actually wanted to say that discovery is a progressive journey. It's not a one-off thing, but the basics need to be discovered before you align with someone. For instance, if you don't have strong self-image or positive self-image because of who you are about yourself or how you know who you are, I don't know how to, maybe I'm using different words to make it a bit muddled up. But I'm trying to say that if you don't have solid self-image, it becomes difficult for you because in marriage, there are issues that will come up that will challenge the core of your convictions about yourself. So if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to be dependent. You're going to build a kind of dependency within the marriage, such that you depend on your spouse to affirm you. It's fine to affirm you, it's wonderful, but when they don't do it as much as you want, then your self-image is shattered. You depend on them not to be lonely. You depend on them to be happy. And you build an unrealistic expectation from your spouse to satisfy you. And we've always believed that there is only one person who can satisfy you, the inner longings of an individual, and that is God. So until you come to that point of knowing a lot of things about yourself and loving who you are, is one thing to know yourself, is another thing to love who you are. And for you to discover yourself, you have to also go to your source, because we trust that God who made you has the blueprint of your life. So you define yourself according to God's definition of you. And once you have that definition, it helps you to love yourself, to see yourself as God sees you. You see yourself competent, you see yourself valuable, and you see yourself lovable, such that you don't depend on your spouse to have a good sense of purpose.
Yep.
Once that is done, there is a level of self-awareness there, such that you bring value into your marriage because you're bringing who you are there. But if you're not self-aware, you are just groping in darkness, trying to discover yourself.
Yeah, and this could be one of the reasons why there are issues in relationship, because you come in, you have high expectations from your spouse. You're expecting them to do something that only God can do for you, and I think it puts a lot of burden. It puts a lot of pressure on the relationship, because if you haven't quite discovered who you are, that means at every slightest provocation, at every slightest, it leads to a kind of poor self-image or poor self-doubt, where you second guess who you are. So when something is said that touches on your personality, you take it really personal, right? Because you don't even know who you are. You've relinquished that authority to somebody else to project an image of who you are. And that's why we said it's really important, if you're peradventure not in a relationship now, it is really important that you engage on a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Because I believe that a lot of people have been exposed to systems. A lot of people have been exposed to culture. And these, sometimes we don't even realize that we've taken up some of these things on ourselves. We've projected some of this image. And I'll give you an example. Somebody could have an issue with trusting somebody, right? And they haven't quite understood that this is an issue, right? They haven't understood that because they haven't been at a point where they were in an intimate relationship and had to trust somebody else until they got married. That in itself became an issue. Now, what has happened is that maybe in the course of that person's journey in growing up, they were used to being disappointed, right? They were being used to being promised so many things, and maybe people didn't meet that expectation. So unconsciously, this person has, it has an image that people cannot be trusted, or men cannot be trusted, for example, or women cannot be trusted, based on how this person's mind has been calibrated by systems they've been through, right? And when I talk about systems here, I'm looking at a family is a system. And that is why it is so important what we project on other people within the confines of families. Think about the fact that you have people who come in and you shape these people, you shape their mindset based on certain culture, based on certain attitude. The question here is, are you building according to your own system? And that has maybe projected on somebody an image of lack of trust based on you having broken their promises per time. And it's just that sense of self-discovery. And another thing could be the fact that, some people could have some struggles, right? As a single person, you might have, been struggling with masturbation, for example, pornography, and you haven't quite dealt with it, right? And this projects an image in terms of how you view women, or maybe how you view men, vice versa, right? It is really important that you engage this. Look, this in itself is a problem and I have to deal with it. Now, it might not even be as deep as those things I have mentioned.
Those are deep areas
they could,
we don't want to go into today.
Yeah, but it could also be around finances. The fact that you don't even know how to steward money. That could in itself be a major problem.
Yeah, that is why self-awareness is important. It is very, very important. And we're going to look at areas that you need to be aware of, or you need to go through the process of self-awareness. For instance, if you don't know how you manage money, you've not reflected on that, that becomes an issue, because you just go into marriage, you think you know how to manage it, and you realize that, oh, I'm actually an impulsive spender. But that is the case on its own, and we don't even want to go on talking about it. But
no, we have to talk about it, because it's all part of it. Because sometimes when I don't want this conversation to be very theoretical, we have to get into the nitty-gritty of what exactly are these, some examples of things that people should be self-aware of. Because sometimes we don't talk, or we gloss over it, and these issues are fundamental, they are foundational to relationships. So imagine that somebody, for example, do not know how to steward money. And being in a relationship, haven't recognized that this is a weakness, this in itself can cause issues in an intimate relationship.
You're right. That is why we talk about knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, which is an area that you need to be aware of. If you don't know your strength, you don't even know what to sell out there. Obviously, going into a marriage means you're bringing your strengths, you're bringing your key, those areas of competencies. That's what will make your relationship tick. So you need to know your strength.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know that they highlight all their weaknesses. They focus on the things they can't do, the things they are not doing well. Their focus has been on their weaknesses. But the balance there is that you need to take your time, reflect on what are my strengths. In terms of money, I may be the one who is good at being meticulous in managing it. Maybe I've developed those skills. So that should be my area of strength, such that if in marriage, I would say, okay, you know what, this is my area of strength. Let me be the one taking the lead in that. Or it could be that my weakness or my limitations I would use is that I have issues with money. It's just how it is with me. Once I see something nice, I want to spend, I want to buy it. And I don't even consult my wife or my spouse to do that. That means your finance will be in trouble.
Yeah.
We're just using money as an instance. In that case, you need to let her lead. Let her be the one managing the finances, because the focus is the interest of the family. But if you don't know it's a weakness, or you don't know, for instance, before I got married, I thought I could actually manage my emotions very well. I thought I wasn't someone who could get upset easily, but something happened that showed that side of me, that in fact I could be very upset over something that is not solid, and because I discovered that weakness, I had to work on dealing with it, because I knew if I had gone into marriage that way, it would result to, something I wouldn't expect to happen in my marriage. So my point is, go through a process of analyzing your strengths, analyzing your area of weaknesses. If I would use, maybe weaknesses sound a bit harsh, I would use the word limitations. Analyzing what you need to maximize, which is your strength, and how you can minimize those limitations. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yes, but before we add to that, I can see some people are just chiming in on the chat. I want to welcome everyone who has just joined us. Welcome, Everyday Matters. Always great to see you. Shadrach, it's also great to see you. Welcome everyone. And please, this is not going to be just a conversation with myself and my husband. I would want us to join in as well. Today, for those who are joining in, we are looking at self-awareness and intimate relationship. And we've just asked the question, is self-awareness really important in an intimate relationship? Do we think that there is a role that self-awareness play with respect to in an intimate relationship? And we've just touched on a number of things. We looked at the fact that it is very important that people recognize who they are. They embark on a journey of self-discovery. They embark on a journey where they have self-knowledge about who they are before they get involved in an intimate relationship, because things can get little muddied up if you don't understand who you are and you're going into a relationship expecting that somebody else is gonna project an image of who you are. You need to be confident of who you are and what you bring into a relationship, right? We're not saying that everyone should be perfect. So we just looked at issues around weaknesses or challenges and recognizing your challenges before you come into a relationship.
Yeah, before we also go on, I would say, drop your comments, what your views are, your thoughts on the conversation. If you want to share, just let us know what you want to share on the chat and we would flash that. I also want to ask you to share this link to anyone out there you think would find the content useful. Okay, so just do that, and it will be wonderful. So the other area of awareness is being aware of your level of love and commitment to your spouse.
Yep.
And to your relationship. You know, because sometimes people get into this now is for those who are not married. Some young people just, well, I say young people, some singles just get married on the premise of how much they feel for this person.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's good. But they don't know, they've not been in the process of evaluating how much committed, how much love they have for this person. Because the journey of marriage is a long-term thing.
It's a marathon.
Do you have what it takes?
Yeah.
Do you have the level of commitment it takes to be in that relationship?
Yeah.
Or are you just going through the motions because of how you feel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So it is really important that you come to terms with being aware, being present as to the decisions that you're about to make to your spouse, to your relationship. And I cannot overemphasize how important this is. The question is, are you so committed to your relationship? And maybe you're married now, and maybe that's something for you to reflect on. How committed are you to your spouse? How committed are you to that relationship? You cannot allow yourself, like you said, to go through the motions of just being in a relationship and you expect that things will turn out great without knowing what to expect from that relationship. You cannot assume that your relationship is in a perfect state if you do not take out time to consciously reflect and discuss the state of your relationship with your partner per time. So like we said, it's not a one-off event. It's something that has to be ongoing, because who gospel is today is not who gospel was when I got married to him, right? And it is very important that we recognize that our spouses also
evolve.
They evolve. Yes, that's the word. They evolve, and it's about reflecting who this person is. How does this person fit into the new scheme of things within the relationship? I think this is really, really important. Well, before we go on, I know some of our audience have put in some things on the chat here. Yes, it's great to see you, Jumoke. It's great to see you. And Everyday Matters have just highlighted a comment here. She says, I agree, self-awareness is important. You need to know yourself and what you want, your strengths and weaknesses. Otherwise, you can walk against yourself in a relationship. Absolutely. I think that is what is known as self-sabotage.
Yeah.
So if you do not really understand or recognize who you are, you can actually self-sabotage your relationship.
Yeah. Thank you for that comment. And going back to what you said about knowing how committed you are to your relationship and knowing the state of your relationship at time. This is important because sometimes we assume that everything is perfect. We assume that everything is fine. Our spouse is in love with us. Everyone is happy. Not knowing that maybe there are things we've done that could have triggered a negative emotion around our spouse.
That's true.
Maybe there are some unresolved conflicts that have been buried under the carpet. And maybe from our spouse's point of view, he or she wants us to talk about them. Yeah. But we've ignored those.
That's true.
And we live like everything is perfect. And I see that a lot with men. Me, for instance, I'm using myself as an example. Sometimes my wife and I could have a misunderstanding. I say, oh, it's trivial. It doesn't really matter. She's fine, I'm fine. And we move on. And without reflecting.
To reflect and
not just reflecting on my own.
Yeah.
It just do that personal reflection and have a conversation to be sure that you're on the same page.
And to bring closure.
If not, it's going to fester. Okay? So that is about knowing the state of your marriage. Even if everything is fine, we know everything is fine.
Yeah.
There's also that point of saying, how can we move this to the next level?
Exactly.
What can we do to have the best? Maybe we think we have the best now. Maybe there's better out there, not out there, inwardly, that we can, have that process of communicating with our spouse to get the best for our relationship. So
Yeah.
it's very important.
Very important.
Yep.
I just highlight some of the comments. Jumoke saying yes, she does agree with everyday matters in terms of, you know, understanding what you want, or that otherwise you stand the risk of sabotaging your relationship. Yes, and I can see that Shedrack also has put self-discovery is key, really important. But we also have a question here. It says, but many a time people really don't get fully, or many a time people really don't get to fully know who they are before marriage.
Yeah, it's not a question. I think it's a comment which we can also look into by saying, yes, people don't get to know themselves fully, because self-discovery is a continuum.
It's ongoing.
It's something you keep doing day as the days go by. But there are fundamental things that you need to be aware of. For instance, the next thing we want to talk about is awareness of your values, principles, convictions, your faith, your beliefs. That kind of awareness.
Yeah, but before we get to that,
to answer the question.
Yes. Okay, you mean this, right?
Yeah, I'm still answering I'm still making comment on that.
Okay.
That kind of an awareness must be done before you get married. You need to know, what are my convictions about life, about faith, about values. You don't come into marriage to now start thinking, do I believe in God or not?
Yeah.
You need to know if you believe in God, so that the person you're bringing into your life will be someone that whose values align with yours.
Yeah.
So in as much as self-awareness is progressive, but there are elements of self-awareness that must be sorted before you go into marriage.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the thing is, sometimes people don't consciously reflect and think that is the starting point, right? You building a habit of self-reflection, or having that self-awareness, being present, trying to really think through what you're actually doing, rather than going through the motions just because life is happening. And I want to really be honest, because it's something that I also needed to practice. You know, I needed to tell myself, you know, being conscious about what you're doing, being conscious about what you're saying, even as little as things like how you speak to other people, what you say to other people, just being aware. Because sometimes you hear people say, oh, I said that offhandedly, I didn't quite think that would have an impact the way it did, right? So self-awareness is something that has to be practiced, and like we said, it's not a one-off event. You've identified that, you know, values, principles is one way to be self-aware, because if you're not self-aware about those things, then you align yourself with people who their values and their principles don't align. But now you're within a relationship, okay, and sometimes you get married to someone who your values don't align with a person, but this is then where you begin to have the conversations on how to work through those difficulties or the challenges that you're now faced with.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. We can go on and on to look at this from different concepts, but I still think those watching or listening to us can also add to this conversation, okay? Because no one knows it all.
Absolutely.
It's just a kind of conversation we're having. But I think an area of awareness that for me is very important is awareness around one's emotional needs, relational needs, spiritual needs. I could also add physical needs.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of your needs, because in marriage, you would expect that your spouse will meet certain needs.
Yeah.
Not every need, but certain needs.
Yeah.
And if you don't articulate your needs and present them to your spouse in such a way that he or she is able to find ways to meet those needs, becomes difficult.
Well, I think we need to unpack this. For example, when you talk about physical needs, I think it is really important that people understand or are aware about their physical health. Really important, because when you are self-aware of your health, that means you're very conscious about what is happening in your body, very conscious about it, how you feel, which is part of your emotional health, okay, how you feel, and you are very deliberate about how you live.
Yeah.
Sometimes people leave it to default, right? And I would state this example because in some settings, when I talked about people are who they are by the systems that they have been exposed to. This also is applicable here, and I'll give an example. Like from people from our community, for example, most times when you go for an event or there is always something happening, there's a lot that is being laid out, and a lot of times you don't find healthy options on the table, right? And if you have been exposed to that sort of system, there is a mentality you have about eating. There is a mentality you have about, well, I'm being honest. There is a mentality you have about what food is, right? And when you're sort of like exposed to, okay, why not try it? Oh, no, I can't eat that. That's not food. This is the real food.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where if you're not very conscious about listening to your body, right? It gets to a point where some of those things are not necessarily healthy for you, right? And you can have an argument if you're married to someone who feels that, look, it's this
I want to meet your physical needs by giving you something
a specific kind of food. And you feel like, oh, you see, we need to tone down on the red meat, we need to tone down on, and this can be an issue, right? So it's all about having that sort of conversation around, what do we need? What do our bodies actually need, right? Rather than what tastes good, right?
Or what does our craving,
appetite, exactly, really want, right? And it's something to, and I don't know if that resonates with some of the people watching us right now, because this can be a potential point of conflict. So it might also be around you just listening to your body. When you look at the fact that people who drive cars, they will tell you that I know the sound of my car, and when it sounds funny, I know there's something wrong, right? Are we actually self-aware about our physical health? Because you need to stay healthy, right? For both of you to grow old together. He needs to be healthy. I have to be healthy. So are you actually paying attention to your physical well-being?
Yeah, part of being self-aware in terms of your physical well-being is that you go for checkups, because sometimes you might not really know how to understand what's going on in your body. There are elements of the body system that you can't use your intuition or you can't figure it out until you go for checkups. And let me not say that. For some people who live in systems where the healthcare is good, one of the things they ask you to do when you turn 40 is to do overall checkup. They call it health MOT. So I would say to you, be aware of your health. Know the limits your health can take, your body can take. If you need to do exercise, know that it's time for you to engage in that. If you need to sleep more, I know you want to work hard and meet your targets, learn to sleep more. If you need to reduce the workload, you need all the money, but is your body telling you that you don't need to push, because if you die, you're not going to have the money, okay? You have to think about that as well. And if you need to take holiday, take a rest. Take a trip with your family, or even just you alone. Take some time to rest. Maybe that's what your body is saying.
It's craving for. And don't forget, we're talking about self-awareness and how that could improve, or how that can impact on intimate relationships.
Because if I'm not healthy, there are some responsibilities that I am required to do as a husband. I won't be able to fulfill those.
Absolutely. And we've got people on the chat. Thank you, Foundation for Family Affairs, for joining in. It's great to see you. Also, we've got Peter saying, self-awareness goes even being able to recognize how people see you, right? That's a very interesting point. So it's not just about how you see yourself, because a lot of times we push away love, we push away, we don't accept certain things because we haven't gifted ourselves those things. But it's all about recognizing as well, even when people treat you less of yourself, if you've not recognized who you are, you're going to accept that.
The other point from that comment is also the fact that you need to listen to, not criticism, could be criticism, but you need to listen to what people are saying about you. If people are saying to you, well, the way you talk is not good, the way you did this is not good, and over and over, you see a lot of people saying the same thing. Maybe let's leave others now. Let's say your spouse, because he or she
is closest,
knows you better than everyone else. And the person is saying to you, you need to change this, you need to change that. Maybe that's your blind spot.
Absolutely.
You're not seeing it because you're blinded to those areas of your life. And someone is seeing your blind spot and telling you, change, improve. You need to listen.
That's true. Absolutely. That's a good point. Foundation for Family Affairs said we must prioritize our well-being, and that sleep is really good. Yeah, sleep is good.
Yeah.
I know in this day and age, well, I mean, guys, don't shoot me, but some people would say they work for 20 hours and they sleep for 4 hours. Well, I don't know, but you know, our bodies are designed to take rest when it is supposed to take rest, and then you rejuvenate and then you carry on. But you know, you don't want to die walking.
Yeah. I was saying earlier about self-awareness in terms of your emotion.
Yeah.
You need to also know how your emotion, your different, emotions fluctuate some of the times or most of the times. So you need to know your emotional state per time. There could be some times that you're not feeling you're not feeling your
best 100%. Yeah,
you're not positive, I would say. A lot of things are happening inwardly,
and
you have this negative feeling around you.
Yeah,
you have to be aware that this is how I'm feeling now, and to be conscious of how you deal with your family members, with your spouse, with your children.
Yeah,
because if you don't know, you will be lashing out at people, innocent people who have not done anything to you.
Yeah.
But the problem is just that you're not feeling right.
In the right place. Yeah.
Maybe it's because of pressure at work.
Absolutely.
Could be personal issues. You're dealing with finance. You're in debt, and you're trying to sort out things, and it's getting to you. So you have to be aware of that. You have to also be aware of the importance of sharing. If you're in a state emotionally that is not good, you need to share with your spouse to say, this is how I'm feeling at the moment. I need your support. It could be your self-awareness about your spiritual journey is also important.
Yeah.
There are times you're not there. You've lost the zest for life. You've lost your faith. You're not feeling now. You don't see things the way God wants you to see them because of different factors.
Yeah.
You need to be aware, okay, it's time for me to take a retreat. It's time for me to pray more. It's time for me to study the scriptures for those who believe in the word of God, read it more, pray more, and work together as a family.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to say that, all we've been saying today is that it is important to prioritize your self-awareness, because that in itself, it has a huge impact, not just on your intimate relationship, on your mental well-being, on your physical well-being, on your emotional well-being, because this is what you project. Remember that you need to be healthy. You need to have a healthy image of who you are, is what you project to people around you. And this is really important. One way I would say that your self-awareness is important is that you need to be aware of your needs.
Yeah.
You really need to be aware of it and work on those, because so many times you find that a lot of people aren't self-aware enough to know what they want. Either you're thinking about it from a general sense, or you're looking at it specifically. Being self-aware would help you to know what you actually need, what you actually desire. You know, it wouldn't be a second thought. You wouldn't just be given something or asked, or something will be thrown at you and then you accept it if you don't know what it is. So you need to be aware of your needs.
Yeah.
If you want, you know, if what you want from a day-to-day basis, from a week-to-week basis, a year-to-year basis, you need to know, what is my need, what is my desire.
Yeah, once you know those, you'll be able to ask for support,
for help. Yeah,
especially those within your will I say,
your support bubble.
I just want to say, especially your spouse.
Yeah.
Let's leave the other ones out. So you need to, because once you're saying, oh, he or she is not meeting my need, he or she is not meeting my needs, but the person may not even know.
Yeah.
And you don't even know it.
Absolutely.
So the importance of self-awareness is that it helps you to articulate your needs, and then you're able to
express that. Yeah.
So that we know how we can help you. So
yeah, you know what? Because sometimes people complain, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Why are you not doing this? You're not being a good husband. You're not being a loving husband. But maybe your husband doesn't quite understand that you need that.
Yeah.
And you need to verbalize it.
So
and even for men, you need to verbalize your
needs. So I'm saying to you, just tell me what you need. I'll be happy to help. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about self-awareness in terms of your emotions. I think it also helps you to be able to manage your emotions.
Yeah.
If you know that you're easily upset over certain things, for instance, the house is not the way you kept it before you left the house, and that puts you off. So once you know that's a trigger point.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm just talking. That helps you to be able to know how to manage your emotion in that regard. So self-awareness is important. Okay.
I guess some people laughing.
It also helps you for, obviously it helps you not to be reactive to the actions and inactions of other
others.
people.
Yeah, it helps you stay in check. It helps you stay, and that's the importance, because emotions, if not reined in, if not understood, if not tamed, if not managed, you could explode, and you could actually hurt the people you care so much about. So being self-aware would help you recognize your boundaries, really, because you can even communicate that, like, this in itself is a trigger. I don't like when this is happening, right? You have that conversation with the other person, and that's because you have taken time to actually think through what your emotional triggers are, and communicating those emotional triggers to your spouse. Because remember that you're in a relationship. Yes, you're in a relationship with someone who love you so much, but they are not mind readers, right? They can't read your mind. To some extent, they can read your, your facial expression, but you need to communicate your emotions. What is that? You feel love for that person. Tell the person. Communicate that.
In a loving way.
In a loving way.
Yeah,
yes.
Very important.
Yeah. So this would basically help you with your flaws and your weaknesses, help you to keep all of that in check. I think Foundation for Family Affairs just put up something. It says sometimes self-awareness is about knowing your personal boundaries.
As if he read your mind.
He read my mind. Yeah. Right, he did. And help you and help you, or help your need per time. Yes,
very important. Let's not take much time on that. I can also say that self-awareness helps you to focus on changing
yourself.
The man in the mirror needs to be changed or needs transformation, not your spouse.
That's true.
Most times we focus on
the other person.
She's not doing this, he's not doing that.
Yeah.
He needs to change. He needs to stop this. He needs to stop that. What about you? What do you need to change?
Yeah.
What do you need to stop? So once you've gone through the process of knowing your areas of limitations, that helps you to focus on working on it. Working on yourself to become the best version of yourself, not your spouse. Okay. It also helps you to empathize.
Yeah.
When you've been in a state where you could actually understand what people are going through, you've seen, you know that you have weaknesses.
That's true.
So you give your spouse some slack. You give them some flexibility. You give them benefit of the doubt, so that there is room for mistakes.
That's true.
There is also room for improvement.
Yeah. And it helps you open up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're self-aware, you have the ability to be vulnerable, you know, with your spouse, because sometimes we are closed up because we are very uncertain about the other person. But if you come to a point where you recognize who you are, you recognize your strength, you embrace your weaknesses, of course, your work in progress, then that way you're able to share with your spouse about, you know, your inner disposition, how you feel, and, you know, possibly seek their support, being accountable to them to help you on your journey. Because remember, they're the closest people to you, and you need an accountability partner. You know, you're trying to navigate a certain challenge and you're saying, look, I really want to work on this, and I want you to hold me accountable. I want somebody I can be accountable to help me on this journey, right?
Yeah.
So you are able to share with your spouse because you have embarked on that journey of self-reflection. And also, it would basically help you communicate effectively, right? What your inner feelings are. You're honest, first of all, with yourself, okay? Like we said, the man in the mirror, you're looking at yourself, because that is what self-awareness is. So you're looking at yourself and you're telling yourself, look, I cannot lie to this person, right? Even if you think every other thing is the way it is, but I need to tell myself the truth. So you're able to communicate that.
Very important. We can talk about different ways self-awareness would actually help you. But we want to say that the ultimate goal is for you to become the best version of you. Because we know that love is about being your best and doing your best. So once you're the best version of you, you'll be able to share yourself fully, because you're vulnerable.
That's true.
You are open and you're happy to connect deeply with your spouse. And then talking about self-awareness, I think we've talked about different ways you can approach it, but then you can also think about self-awareness by looking at yourself and being honest with yourself and making a kind of journal. You can keep a journal. You can write down your thoughts. You can meditate as well.
Reflect on it.
Yes. You need a time alone to think about yourself, to reflect on yourself, about yourself, and reflect about your marriage or your relationship and how you can take it to the next level. Okay.
Really, you know, you really need that time and space. And like I said, this is a practice that we have not been conditioned to. You might be to engage in. You might be from maybe a system or culture where this is not a thing, right? But there is a lot of value in this, because when you are reflecting and you're writing down all of this, that really brings a lot of clarity in terms of how you want to navigate the next, or pivots the next step in terms of your personal life or even in your relationship. I've got a comment here on the chat from Everyday Matters, and she just said, absolutely, it helps you to know that you are different from your spouse. I think it's just based on the comment before, and to accept them for who they are too. Yes, because a lot of times, and thank you so much for that comment, in having that journey of self-awareness, you also need to recognize that, especially in a relationship, you need that sort of empathy. Because if you recognize who you are and you recognize that, wow, I'm also on a journey, right? You would also be empathetic towards that other person
who is also on
a journey. So you wouldn't
be patient with
and
them
be patient for them to, you know, to navigate, to go through, to come through, to be better. You know, just be there, be that listening ear, be that, you know, sounding board for them. Okay. And another comment here from Jumoke, she says, more often than not, the major work is within each person and not with an external person. Okay. That's why self-awareness is a crucial part of our life's journey. Wow, that is a very good point.
So to add to that, as much as you are on this journey of self-awareness, don't do it alone. What I mean by that is, whatever findings you've gathered from your journey, make sure you communicate. Talk, and then ask questions. Ask questions. Let people tell you about themselves, about you, sorry. Let people ask them, what do you think I do well? And what do you think I need to improve? It's like me asking my wife, what are my strengths and what do you think are my limitations?
It takes a lot to come to that point.
Yeah, but that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're not open to improvement. Because once you ask those kind of questions and bring them on board to help you navigate the process of improvement, that helps you as well. It means that you're not alone in this, and they will help you because they know you've owned up or you've taken responsibility for where you are in life. So apart from writing down, meditating, please share with your spouse.
Absolutely.
I know you want us to leave now. Yes. In case you're also not aware of how to process this or
because
how to go about it.
Yeah, and this is just down to what Jumoke said earlier about you don't need an external person, right? You have to embark on that journey together. But again, one of the things that we had this conversation as well when we were preparing for this session around, do people actually need people to help them on that journey of self-awareness? I think sometimes, some people are stuck, right? Some people find it difficult to even understand where they are and how to pivot from there.
Yeah.
And peradventure, you might be that one person that you're in that particular pickle. You might want to seek a professional help, someone who can, guide you in terms of you having some clarity around what you need to do and discovering yourself. Yes, of course, you still need to do the work because you have to be involved. You would need to be the one providing that information. You would need to be the one holding yourself accountable. But maybe somebody just what word would I use? Someone to give you some clarity around what you need to do.
Yeah, someone that would trigger you with relevant questions.
Yeah.
Someone that would be clear to you in terms of being objective. Because sometimes you might be biased with your assessment of yourself. So someone it could be your spouse. That's what I'm saying. I was saying. So that conversation of saying, you can do this, you can do that, would be very helpful. Asking questions, that's what I'm saying. Again, you should also remember that it's a personal journey.
It is.
So there are areas of self-awareness that you don't need someone. For instance, when it has to do with spirituality, you need to be on that journey alone.
Yeah.
Because it's about you
discovering who you are
and your God.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. Yeah. Wow, it's been an amazing time.
We can go on and on.
Yeah, we don't want to keep you guys.
But we want to say, if you think, is there anything we've said that resonates with you?
Yes,
that you
just let us know.
Quite
please.
Interesting. You can drop the comments on the comment section.
Yeah.
You can also share the link with anyone you think that will be happy to engage in the content.
Yeah, I think one of the comments right here, apart from the hearts and getting from Everyday Matters and Jumoke, I think that is just a sign of agreeing with some of the things we've said. Foundation for Family Affairs says we must be willing to be vulnerable. To be honest with you, self-awareness is a journey where you are stripping yourself of every form of
facade.
I'm telling you, like you are trying to bear yourself to someone else and actually looking yourself in the mirror and saying, look, Amara, you've not got it right here. You need some work here. And sometimes the truth could be brutal, right? You just need to be vulnerable to accept it. And just like what you were saying about, asking questions, just be ready to get honest answers. When you're asking your spouse questions about, what do you think I should improve on? Don't get offended, right? Just be ready for those answers and take the answers and work.
Yes, I want to also add that it's not just about the negative.
Yes.
It's about the parts that you are doing well.
Absolutely.
So that you don't focus on the
negatives.
You can actually see the strengths in you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Everyday Matters saying amazing topic. Self-awareness is key for our personal growth and development, which would help our relationship. Absolutely. So thank you everyone who's joined in today. It's been an amazing time. You guys are the reason why we do what we do. Just imagine if we came into a live session and we're just talking to ourselves and there's no one there watching.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be brutal, right?
Very boring.
So it's good that you guys are here and we love you. We We see what you do. Thank
And
you
we
for
appreciate
engaging.
whatever
We
you do.
appreciate.
Yeah.
Yes, we do appreciate that. So thank you for making out time on a Saturday like this to be here for us. So thank you so much. And every Saturday we try to drop a content, whether some videos or even a live session like this. So please feel free to engage when you find time, or you can do a rewatch if you are busy. But it's great, great, great to be here. Foundation for Family Affairs, thank you as well. We see you, we love you, thank you. Jumoke, thank you for being so authentic. Wow, the session has been impactful. Wow, that's lovely feedback.
Thank you for being authentic.
Thank you. Thank you for being authentic too. And have a lovely weekend, everyone. So on this note, we are going to be saying our final goodbyes to you all, and we will see you next Saturday. Take care. Bye-bye.